What is going on? Happy Sunday. Let's get Lyle in here. All right. Let's get Lyle. Waiting for Lyle. There we go. What's up, buddy?
Happy times, I got to tell you.
Happy Sunday. What? They should do Sunday Night Baseball more often. That was fun. What a concept. ESPN, I hope you're watching this. Come back soon. How about later this year?
Not 20 years, that's for sure.
I agree with that. Yeah, I could agree. 20. Yeah, we're not waiting until 2044
No.
for that to happen again. Well, welcome in, everybody. Marine Lair Podcast, Sunday Night Live. Usually live around 7 p.m. Pacific. This night, a little bit later. Every single Sunday night here on our YouTube channel and our Instagram channel. We're here to answer your guys' questions. Feel free to send us a question in either the Instagram chat or the YouTube chat. Follow us on all of our social media accounts at Marine Lair Pod, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We're on YouTube as well, Marine Lair Podcast on there. If you're watching on Instagram, not sub to the YouTube channel, I know there are a lot of you that aren't, so you can go head on over there, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and if you really want us to answer one of your questions, send us a super chat, and we'll be sure to get to it. Yeah, how was the ballpark tonight, buddy? You were out there. It looked like a lot of fun, and in what was probably the most fun Mariners game of the season.
Oh, it was great. The whole weekend was great, but today especially. It was weird. 4 o'clock start on a Sunday just feels a little odd, especially with Sunday Night Baseball there and the whole production there. And, it was all kind of staged up today for good reason because it was a special event going on. But good weather, good crowd. We got a bunch of stuff done today, interviews-wise, which was great. But more importantly, much more importantly than that, the fact that it was a good crowd for a really, really awesome Mariners win. Just like ran them right out the building from start to finish, which was pretty awesome. Pitching wise, hitting wise, Troy Taylor making his debut, which we can talk about. Yeah, really, really fun series and fun game against a team that, by the way, is a good team. The Mets are fighting for a playoff spot. They were entering this weekend one game out. They're a solid team, and the Mariners took it to them.
Not just good, but also scores a lot of runs, too. That's a very good offensive team, and they allowed 1 run all series. One run. What was that? Gary Hill tweeted out the stat. It was 7 times this year they've allowed 2 or less runs in a series of at least 3 games. Is it 7 times? That's insane.
Pretty wild.
Yeah. Wild, I think, is an understatement. They are now have 73 quality starts this year.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's almost like this pitching staff's, I don't know, the best in baseball.
Wow, what a takeaway. But I thought it was the ballpark.
Well, it can be both.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys, we're looking for some questions. Send them to us on Instagram and on YouTube. Again, if you really want us to answer your question, send us a super chat on YouTube, and we'll be sure to get to it. Let's see what we got here.
I've got one.
Sure.
So this isn't a question, but it's a comment. Someone said, I was confused for a second when Ryan Stanek was pitching. That's from Dustin on Instagram. And I know that's not a question, but I will say, because I was talking about this with a couple of friends today, and I thought I'd bring it on here, but there has to be something mechanically wrong with Ryan Stanek this year, right? I mean, the guy has as good a stuff as any reliever. We know stuff plus wise, he's awesome, but like he just does not command the zone. And I know he's walked guys in his career, but it feels like it's on another level this year, and especially the last month or so, both between him being in Seattle and now being with the Mets. Like it was another really bad outing for him today.
Well, he showed today why the Mariners traded him away, because he this year is everything the Mariners aren't as pitchers. Doesn't throw strikes early in the count, doesn't limit hard contact, and certainly doesn't get a lot of contact on the ground either. Like just run through his outing. It was walks and hard hit balls. That's everything the Mariners hate. So like, okay, we're sending you to the Mets. Doesn't matter how good your stuff is. If you can't throw strikes and you can't work ahead early in the count, it's going to come back to bite you. And that's exactly what happened. And the Mets thought they could take a flyer on him. If I was another team and I desperately needed bullpen help, I absolutely would take a flyer on him. The stuff that he throws does not grow on trees. Just random relievers cannot do what he does throwing a pitch out of his hand. The problem is it just doesn't go into the right parts of the strike zone often enough, and henceforth why he struggled again today. He struggled a couple of times with the Mets, and there's a reason the Mariners traded him away. Stuff-wise, Ryan Stanek deserves to be in the Mariners bullpen, but command and control-wise, he does not. And that you saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully for his sake, he finds something with the Mets, but right now, like, again, something just looks off with him because he's not throwing enough strikes, and he hasn't been the guy that the Mariners or the Mets have needed him to be. It's just been a lot of chaos on the mound and not a lot of balls around the zone.
Okay, we're going to completely switch gears here with this question. I don't know if you've seen which one I'm looking at. Have you all talked about what Abraham Toro said about the mound? Which mound? CLuff02 on Instagram. Can you please follow up? I'm curious. What did Honest Abe say about the mound? What did he say?
Did he have a quote about the Mariners today or something that we missed?
I don't. How could we have missed that? Abe Toro saying something about the mound?
I don't know. Maybe he's making this up because he just wants us to talk about Abe Toro and he wants you to go on a rant. But I don't remember hearing anything about Abe Toro saying anything about the mound for the Mariners at T-Mobile Park.
Well, if it's a real quote, could you please send it so we can react to it?
Here we go. So he follows up and said it was crooked just a little bit. So I don't know. I don't remember hearing that. Now maybe
Wasn't it Teo who said that?
I think Teo said the batter's eye, not the mound.
I thought Teo said he felt like the mound was off in Seattle. That's what he said.
I think Trevor May told us the batter's eye, so maybe he said the mound and the batter's eye.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I don't think it was Abe who said that. There has been that sentiment put out there that the mound is crooked. However, I'm sure the Mariners have checked to make sure the mound is crooked, and it's not.
That and a slightly crooked mound, I don't know, fully should be an excuse for Abe Toro being, in TJ's eyes, the worst player he's ever watched
of all time.
Yeah. Yes. Correct. The worst player of all time.
I hear excuses, Abe.
I wouldn't say he's the worst player of all time, obviously, but TJ, he's number one on the list. It's not close. Name any baseball.
He's all the way on the left to the Mount Rushmore of worst baseball players of all time.
God, he needs to be back in the Mariners uniform one day. Just
no,
he
does not. No, he does not.
I think he does.
No, he does not. Let's get to another question I've seen popped up here a few times, and I'll just ask it to you straight. Do you think Julio Rodriguez was ready to be back? Do you think that was right decision?
I don't know how I feel about answering this question because we can give a take. That's what we do on not just this podcast, but any podcast in general. People are going to give takes on things, right? That's what people do. They talk about topics. But it's hard to really give a take on this because we don't have all the medical information. We're not the team doctors. We only know what's out there, right? Now, I will say, watching him run this weekend, according to the trainers, he passed all the thresholds to be able to play. But did it not look like by the end of the game his ankle was still bothering him a little bit? Did he not look like he was walking a little ginger? It seemed to me like he was.
A little bit, but you also have to clear different thresholds for DH versus center fielder. Like, let's just remember, like, the speed and athleticism of most DHs, strict DHs in Major League Baseball. So it's not a high bar for Julio to clear. I think my biggest worry with this wasn't that he'd be ready to hit, is that does him coming back and DHing here on Sunday affect how soon he'll be ready to play center field in this coming month? Because if he takes an extra, say, week and a half off and his ankle fully heals and he can then go out and play center, is that more beneficial than him coming back, running the bases? Well, except he didn't run the bases tonight. He just walked back to the dugout after striking out 5 times. Does the amount of wear and tear from him running the bases, just DHing and being out there and playing in real games, does that mean he takes an extra 2 weeks, if not more, to get ready to play center field? Victor Robles has played a very nice center field, and that is probably a reason why the Mariners are okay with him coming back. We're not losing games in center field. In fact, Robles has been very good defensively out there, and he's been one of our better hitters, so we have no problem leaving him out there in center field and letting him play while we get Julio's bat back sooner than expected. But I ultimately do think this will cause him to take longer to get ready for center field based on him playing in games. As soon as he's going to hit a ball that's like a tweener down the line that might be a double, might not be, and Julio tears around first hard and then has to really plant and stop going around the first base bag, and his ankle could flare up again. These are not injuries that heal quickly. High ankle sprains take so long to fully go away. And my concern would be that he wouldn't fully be ready. I will say this, though. The Mariners have a very good track record of keeping guys healthy. In these last 3 years, this team, for the most part, has been remarkably healthy, I would say. I think that's a fair statement. So if the Mariners medical staff, who has the final say in whether or not Julio wants to play or not, or should be allowed to play or not, and calculating the risk of whether or not he'll re-injure the ankle, if they said he's okay to play, then I'll believe him, because they have earned the benefit of the doubt. They have earned that if they think he's healthy enough, he could do it. Now, what you could argue is that couldn't he have used a rehab assignment potentially?
Yeah. Yes.
It's been 3 weeks since he's hitting in a game. You can hit off the trajectory all you want, but it's not the same as a game.
We're going to have to see how the Tigers series looks for him too. But if he has a bad series in Detroit, I think that's going to be a very valid question. That could he have used some real games in rehab assignments before putting him back into action? I think there's, I hope he just goes 6 for 10 or whatever in the Tigers series. But if he doesn't, and he doesn't hit well, there's going to be a real argument to say, should he have gotten some at-bats back under his belt before getting back into games? Yeah.
And is it beneficial to Julio to have 2 weeks where he's trying to get his feet back under him while he's getting healthy? Does that really benefit him? Like coming back to the big league level and trying to catch up to pitches for 2 weeks that he could have done down in the minor leagues. We'll have to see. Again, it really just depends what his next week looks like offensively. Yeah. And if he maybe goes and tears it up, then never mind. But
yeah.
So a few at bats in AAA never hurt nobody, especially not in the PCL. You and I would be feeling good at the plate after taking some swings in the PCL.
He's never played a single game in Tacoma, funny enough, Julio. Never.
Here it's great in Tacoma this time of year.
Well, our city, as they say out there.
Yeah. Okay.
What else do we have? I mean, I'm going to guess for any of those who want to hear more about this may be a podcast conversation for Wednesday. Like, obviously, like we'll talk about other things too, but if I had to bet, this may be one of our 2 storylines is Julio. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about the Mets series because it was an awesome series, but there's probably going to be some Julio talk in there.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
Let's see. Here we go. Okay, this is from Lucas Kraken on YouTube. He says, do the Mariners make the playoffs after that series? I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Well, it certainly is a step in the right direction. The morale's a lot better. People's confidence should be a lot higher after this weekend. I will say they gained no ground this weekend because the Astros also swept, including a Saturday that the Red Sox totally blew, that the Astros absolutely should have lost. So the Mariners made up no ground this weekend. But yeah, the odds feel better now. How could they not when you win 3 straight against the playoff team? But there's still a ways to go. They still need to see it on more of a consistent basis. They still need to win more series in a row. They need to beat the Tigers this week. That's for sure. They better not lose another series to the Tigers. That's the next step. But they need to string together more consistent play before I feel absolutely positively confident. Yes, this is a playoff team. They're definitely better since the deadline, but that Tiger series left a bad taste in my mouth.
And that wasn't that long ago either. I'm never going to proclaim that one series is going to cause them to make the playoffs. Like, they looked great, and as I said on a reaction, this was their best played series of the season. They've had a few, but this one was the best one. Best pitching, best combination of pitching and hitting. The crowds were great. It was Sunday Night Baseball. There's really not a whole lot to complain about with the series, but you can't do that. I mean, just look at this next road trip. You say the Tigers, who were inches away from sweeping the Mariners just earlier this week, just 3 days ago, They were about to sweep the Mariners, and the Mariners salvaged the final game. They're going to go on the road there. They're going to go to Pittsburgh. I think Paul Skeens is supposed to pitch.
Yeah, he's slated.
That's going to be a tough one to win.
TJ, I just want to say, if everything stays aligned, not only is he slated to pitch, he's slated to pitch on Friday, which may or may not also happen to be, well, I mean, whatever.
Oh,
I don't like talking.
Your birthday.
I don't love talking about birthdays, but yeah, Friday may or may not be that. And you know what that present's going to be? Perfect game.
Or as Frank the Tank predicted today for the Mets, is it going to be a 51 pitch perfect game?
Oh, I think it might be.
Yeah,
I think it might be.
It
So
might
anyway,
be. I think the Mariners are going to struggle with that splinker. And then, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the final series of that road trip. They are going to go play the Dodgers for 3 games on the road. So,
and is Jared Jones back yet for the Pirates? He's getting close. I know he's pitched in some rehab games. I guess we'll have to check on that. Well, I guess we'll have to check on that. But if you get Jones and Skeens in that Pirates series, that is a very, very tough series you're going to have to go play on the road. So, yes, the Mariners had a great series this weekend, but they need to have a good road trip, and they need to find a way to continue to win series. If you don't win the Dodgers series, you don't win the Dodgers series. That's potentially a World Series team. But you have got to win the series you're supposed to win.
Let's get to the super chat, and this another a bit of an inside joke, Lyle. Tacoma, the other Paris, Derek, who sends that super chat. Thank you again, Derek, for sending that. We were joking about which small cities in the Pacific Northwest relate the most to Paris. We came up with a few. I don't remember us discussing Tacoma, but I think you could put an Eiffel Tower there. So that would make it more appealing to Julio if you want to go get some swings.
That reminds me of the South Park episode where, I mean, this could be a deep cut, so anybody who's seen this episode maybe can relate, but there's an episode where Cartman gets sent to like a foster home, and he thinks he's going to Hawaii. He thinks he's going to Hawaii, and he's got his stuff all packed for Hawaii. And then the people driving him there is like, your foster home is here, pretty much the exact opposite of Hawaii. And then he passes a sign that says, "Welcome to Greeley, Colorado." The exact opposite of Hawaii is what the sign says. And Cartman goes, "Greeley?" That's almost like what that comment about Tacoma makes me think about. It's like, oh, you think you're going to Paris? No, actually, you show up in Tacoma, Washington.
Yeah. Well, does Paris have an EQC? I don't think so. They don't have one.
Not that I know of. Do you think people sports bet in Paris? Maybe.
Absolutely.
Probably.
100%.
Yeah,
you got to gamble on something.
Yeah. Let's see what else we've got.
Thank you for that, Derek.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks, Derek. Let's see.
Could we? Do you want to talk about Victor Robles' pet monkeys?
Yeah, we can do that. Just
they talked about it on the broadcast.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling to see what else we've got, just really quick. Yeah, people say talk about Victor Robles. Got to go 500 on the road. Oh, our friend Anna says I'll be at least 2 of the Dodgers series. Hopefully, I'll bring some luck. Well. And if you want to make a sign basically making fun of Shohei and all his gambling, like that, maybe that'll help. Just get it in front of his face while he's on deck. You can do that. Maybe. How do we rattle the Dodgers? Trash talk Teo? Tell him how awful he was when he was in Seattle? I don't know.
Or you make an enormous sign and you go out in his center field while he's hitting. Maybe he'll see it. That's the only way you guarantee he'll look at it.
It's true.
So he'll be staring at the pitch. Now, he also might hit a ball over the sign, but get a try.
That would be kind of hilarious if you said like Shohei, how much action does Ippei have on this series, or something along those lines to make it witty and funny, only for Shohei to hit a ball over the sign in center field.
Now, wouldn't the Dodgers take away that? I feel like the Dodgers would take away a sign like that. Wouldn't
Probably.
Yeah. They don't like the bad PR stains. They're trying to ban the word Ippei from the stadium.
Yeah, probably. Can't talk about the thousands of dollars he has on.
Well, I think I'll be able to see it. Anna says she's sitting behind the dugout. Perfect.
Well, but she says, okay, but now she says she's going with people from work, so she can't bring a sign that says like, Ippei, give me all your parlays for this weekend or something.
Or no. So here's a workaround. You don't have to make a big sign, but you could do it on your phone. Like you pull up Instagram or Snapchat and then you just draw on it. Or you type it out and you hold it out like this.
While Shohei's on deck, it's like can you text Ipe to get me his gambling picks for tonight or something? Like,
Yeah. I have a parlay. I have a final leg of a parlay I need to put together.
okay, yeah. Anyway, we can talk about Victor Robles. Yeah, he's the man. Speaking of interviews we did this weekend, we just got him today for the first time, who was awesome, and we'll post some of that in the coming days. But in terms of him being on the broadcast, he was hilarious. I mean, I was laughing probably way harder than I ever should have been laughing when he's talking about his pet monkeys, only for him to stop and say, "Oh, sorry guys, I got to go make this play," and then he runs in to go catch the line drive, running in center field, only to get right back to talking about his pet monkeys like he didn't skip a beat.
And that was the one he almost overran, right? Because he was running so fast and he was excited. Yeah. That was great. That was of all the guys they could have mic'd up, he was fantastic. Seriously. Of anyone on the roster, he seems like he has the most energy. He's living life. Seriously. I mean, this dude, I don't know if he would have thought his baseball career was, say, over, but he probably thought it was, when he left Washington, it was as low as it possibly could have been. I mean, and then he gets to Seattle. He's having all this success. He just has a smile on his face the entire time. He's starting in center field. He's leading off. He's hitting well. The team's playing well. The weather's great. I mean, literally, could it be better? It's like the perfect fresh start after a breakup. Like, you move to the perfect place, and life just keeps, like, checking boxes for you as you're going. Like, that's what it feels like.
Yeah. He has been such a shot in the arm for this team all year. Not just his play, but how he is in the clubhouse, like how fired up he gets, how much electricity he plays with. You want to talk about Cal's quote from the other day saying the team lacks energy? That is never the case with Victor Robles. And if anything, he can lift this team up in a lot of ways. The image that might stand in my head the rest of the year, actually, I hope something replaces this, because what I want to replace it is he has some huge moment in the playoffs and just goes crazy and gets the whole city fired up. But the image that is just lasting in my head right now is during that Phillies series when he hit that bomb to left field to start the game. And there was that picture of him turning back at the first base dugout. You get his mouth open while screaming. He is so fired up. And that just, does that not perfectly encapsulate and encompass Victor Robles' time with the Mariners right now? He has gone off. He is he has taken the city by storm. The fans love him. His teammates love him. And like, you saw all of that in one picture. He has been the best story of the Mariners team this year. Besides, I mean, I'll say maybe besides how elite the rotation's been.
Speaking of the energy, can we talk about the 180 this week? I mean, it could not have been. I thought when Cal Raleigh brought up the energy quote on Wednesday night, I thought he hit the nail right on the head. And then through 8 more innings on Thursday, I mean, it looked as evident as possible that the energy was at an all-time low. For some reason. I couldn't tell you why that reason was, Lyle. Why they were lacking that kind of energy after a really good series win against Philly on the weekend. But then the Tigers come to town with a bunch of backups, and the energy wasn't there. Well, the Mariners had turned around this weekend and played with the most energy they have essentially all season against the Mets. Like, the details were there. The pitching was there. Not even just the slug part of scoring runs this weekend. I mean, some of these little details, hitting the ball the other way, moving a runner over, all these little things, even a sacrifice bunt, Lyle, they managed to execute.
Unacceptable.
Because
I don't want to watch
they
bunting.
had energy, and because they were focused, and because, the pressure was on all 3 games against a good baseball team, and it did not matter. And it was just so refreshing to see. I mean, I was legitimately worried middle this week. Legitimately worried. About the energy level. Like, there's no excuse for it because of all the new players and all the new additions, but it was still there and it was very evident. And then they essentially threw that in the trash can this weekend. And now the key is to not do that when you go on the road against the same Detroit team this week.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I still don't want to see any bunting, like, ever, but whatever.
Well, that was just sort of make my point.
Okay. Well, yeah, dude, when Cal put that quote out on Thursday, I know this feels a little reactionary, but when he put that quote out, I was like, is this team in trouble? Not only are they losing, but a quote like that comes out. Like, I was like, does this team just not have the juice this year? Are they not bringing it enough? I don't know. I didn't like that quote at all. It got me very, very nervous, but it was nice to see him turn it around this weekend. And like you said, they did it in a bunch of different ways. How about the fact on Friday, that game was basically anchored by the bottom of the lineup. You have Ryan Bliss go deep. You have Leo Rivas come up with a clutch 2 RBI single. Who had that on their bingo card this weekend? I would say just about nobody. And they had the bottom of the lineup swing together a win for these guys, anchored by what was also a really good start by Bryce Miller. Yeah, they did it in every different way. Yeah, on Sunday today, you saw some of the stars come out. You saw Cal go deep twice. You see Polo go deep. You see Robles have a good game. But Friday, it was Bliss. It was Leo Rivas. It was some of the little things. It was a very collective offensive effort this weekend. And there was no lack of energy.
Just a reminder, guys, make sure to send in your questions. We are here on these lives every single Sunday night to answer your questions. So if you have something pressing you want to ask us, feel free to leave us a question in either the YouTube comment section or the Instagram comment section or the YouTube one. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media profiles, Marine Layer Podcast on YouTube if you're watching on Instagram and you aren't subbed to our YouTube, at Marine Layer Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you really want us to answer one of your questions, head on over to the YouTube stream and send us a super chat, and we'll be sure to get to your question next. Let's see. What do we got here? So there's a question in here about when does Carlos Vargas get called up to replace Trent Thornton? Now, I know Trent has been struggling. How has Carlos Vargas been doing these days?
Last time I checked, not great. So I don't know if we're going to see Vargas this year. Keep in mind, Troy Taylor just got called up this weekend, which maybe we can talk about that here for a minute. This feels timing. But you're talking about a guy in Double-A that jumped Vargas, who's been in Triple-A all season. I don't think that's a coincidence. If Vargas was really big league ready, I think you see him. So, like, here's the thing, guys, right? We know Vargas throws hard. We know he's got good stuff. And he's got a 2.93 ERA right now in Tacoma. Let's look at his whip. It's
1.5.
4.75. That is high. That means he is walking a lot of hitters, too many hitters, and he's probably also given up too many hits. He might strand runners, but he's given up too many hits. There was a reason Troy Taylor got the call over Vargas. I think Vargas obviously still has potential. He's 24. He's not that old. He's got club control, of course, but he's going to have to strike more guys out, and he's probably going to have to give up less hits. Yeah, look at this. He's striking out 5.9 per 9 in Tacoma right now. That's not a big league reliever. Big league relievers have to strike guys out. You depend on strikeouts from big league relievers. He is striking out less than 6 batters per 9.
Let's see. Does I'm trying to find out if Trent Thornton has any options left.
That would be on Fangraphs.
No, he does not. Nope. So yes. So Thornton has struggled a lot. Certainly. I think he's given up a hit in, I think it's 13 consecutive. I have to double check. It's been a lot. He has not had a clean outing in a while. The problem is, I think the Mariners believe in his stuff. He's got a pretty diverse pitch mix. He throws hard, throws a lot of breaking balls, and with the fact he is out of options, and someone like Troy Taylor, for example, less of a pitch mix, more green. He's only 22 with all of his options remaining. Unless Thornton was truly just atrocious and one of the worst relievers in baseball, I have a hard time seeing them just straight up DFAing him, because that's what they would have to do at this point. They could not just send him down to Tacoma to work on things. He would need to get DFA'd, and I don't think they would DFA someone like him, not in season. I don't think. If they made a decision in the offseason that they'd want to go a different way with their bullpen, that's different. They could non-tender him. But in season, as of right this second, I don't really see that.
Yeah. And again, to look at another number with Vargas too, he's got the 2.93 ERA. His FIP is 5.29. So you're talking about a 1.5 whip, a 5.29 FIP. He's striking out less than 6 batters per 9 as a reliever. This is not a big league reliever right now. I know he throws hard. I know he's got a chance to be exciting, but he's not currently a big league reliever. There's a reason Troy Taylor's up. So on that note, let's talk Troy Taylor. And Aaron Rivers actually just sent us the same question. He said, thoughts on Troy Taylor's debut? Yeah, let's talk about it. 2 strikeouts, clean inning, looked pretty sharp. Wait, did he get 2 strikeouts or 1?
It was 2.
Yeah, it
He
was
was
2.
pretty amped up. His everything ticked up, I think, a little bit. I'm curious how consistent the swing and miss will be with him at the big league level. I think it was Jason Churchill who was breaking it down that the reason Taylor had not been called up yet, even though his numbers were so amazing, is because it's not that Edwin Diaz level slider. He doesn't possess something like that. That's something that's just so unbelievably like will breaking of a breaking ball that big league hitters will never hit that pitch, and it's going to be a real struggle for him. I don't think that pitch is quite like that right now. Now, again, he's still got a lot of pro innings left to throw to develop and get better. The velocity is there, but it's just not the overwhelming top of the line reliever dominant stuff. He did look pretty good today. I am curious how this holds up. Let's say you give him 15 innings, 15 outings. How does it look? What's his swing and miss like when he's not running on this much adrenaline every time? But the first time I thought looked very good. I thought the fastball was dynamic. I thought the slider was well. I thought it moved a lot. And I thought for the spot of the bullpen the Mariners need him in, I think his profile fits very well.
100%. And until he's thrown enough big league innings to get into this role, which probably won't happen until next year, you're not asking Troy Taylor to throw leverage innings for you. You're not asking him to come in the 8th after a 7-inning shutout from Logan Gilbert and go face the top of the order. No, he'll probably pitch in some lower leverage. Even if he starts to really get ramped up and get cooking here, which I hope he does, and I think he has a chance to do, he will probably be in a similar role to what Colin Snyder's doing right now, I would say. So, for example, like Snyder has started to pitch in some leverage, but the more he pitches and the better he throws, he's going to get relied on more and more, especially with the fact that Gregory Santos is not back, and we don't really know when he's coming back. Because right now you have Munoz, you have Jimmy Garcia. Who's your third leverage arm right now down the stretch? Honestly, with the way everybody's pitched, it's probably Snyder right now.
Yeah, it is.
So Taylor would essentially, if I'm mapping this out right, and if I had to take my best guess at this, sort of take on what Snyder's old role was, where you'll throw him in games where you're down 1, down 2. You try to keep the score at bay to give your offense a chance to win games rather than having him throw with a lead up by 2 in the 8th inning or the 9th inning. I think you'll see Taylor throw in games where close, maybe they're down 1. You try to have him keep the score right there, which are important innings. They're just not what he was doing in Arkansas where he was the full-time closer.
The keep it close reliever, as I've said, they don't have right now.
And maybe Troy Taylor.
Yep, certainly.
And that's an important role. So
yeah, it is, because we saw what happened in the Tigers series when that reliever wasn't there, and the Red Sox series.
Yeah,
you use not someone good. Like that.
Yeah, that was on Wednesday. The game totally got out of hand.
Let's see. Let's see this question from Frodo T. Baggins on YouTube. Is batting Julio cleanup really beneficial? Giving him, let's see. Is batting him cleanup really the most beneficial for Julio, giving him the most protection? I thought Robles, Randy, Julio, Cal, and JT would be the most protection. Well, they didn't bat JT today because Severino was starting as a righty, and they started Raley instead.
Can I give an answer on this?
Like, I don't think it really matters all that much where in the top 4 Julio bats.
It was also just the first game. They may move him back up once he gets his feet back under him a little bit more. So, yeah, I would assume in time he'll probably be hitting 3 behind Robles and Randy. I think they probably like Randy in the 2 spot if I had to guess. But yeah, I just don't think I'm going to look at the whole lineup construction thing yet over the fact that it's been 1 game and say, what are we doing? Like, let's see where he bats a week straight or so and how he's even playing by that point before we really start to worry about it. But Julio has to hit. We're talking about getting him protection, but Julio himself needs to hit. Now, I know he started to swing it before he got injured for 10 games or whatever it was, 12 games, but he still really needs to turn that season around as a whole. So we need to see a really consistent stretch of Julio Rodriguez hitting like Julio Rodriguez. I think, before we can even really have the conversation of does he lack protection.
And the other thing, too, if we're just talking about the construction part and Cal hitting third instead of Julio, you know who your best hitter's been for 2 months? Cal Raleigh. That's why he's hitting third.
Correct.
Yeah. And it's not honestly not that close.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, the thumbs down is back for you, dog.
Oh, did it just happen?
It just popped up for you.
Oh.
I guess it didn't like your lineup construction.
Well, yeah. I mean, Julio's still only at a 102 WRC plus or whatever for the year. That's just, that's not Julio Rodriguez. Let's hope he ups it before the end of the year. So, what else we got?
What else is on? Let's see. This question comes from Lane. Who's the next prospect to get called up this year? So someone we haven't seen. I mean, they are running out of guys.
We had this question recently, either on a live stream or it was on a mailbag episode. And I think I said the last guy would be Troy Taylor, because we talked about Locklear. We said maybe if Locklear were to be needed again this year, if there's an injury or whatever, and you call him back up, then maybe him. Or if Troy Taylor gets a call, which has now happened. I think that's it. I just don't think you're going to see Harry Ford or Cole Young this year. Those guys, I would assume those guys are not only going to finish the year in Double-A, they'll probably start next year back at Double-A too. Those guys haven't had bad seasons. They have not had overwhelmingly amazing seasons either. So those guys are both super young. Cole Young's 21 years old. Harry's 22. Do I have that right? 21, 22, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So it would not be crazy to send those guys back to Double-A next year out of spring training for a little bit more time. Let them polish up a little more, get their offensive game under them a little bit, let the power numbers go up a little bit, and you see them at some point in 2025. I would say if you had to pick any prospects, those are probably the next closest two, but I don't think either of them are getting up this year.
And Logan Evans. Logan Evans is the emergency option. I think he is the only, if we're talking about legit prospect, he's the only prospect left that is not debuted, that should debut this year for the Mariners.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm not counting, Locklear's already debuted, Bliss has already debuted, Taylor just pitched for the first time today. In terms of guys who have not seen the big leagues yet, it's him.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I forgot our guy Logan. Yeah, he would be the next one. If they need a starter, he'd be the next one. So after that,
any other one, we would be shocked. It would be a pretty big surprise to see anybody else.
Correct. I would guess you'll see Harry and Cole Young next year, if I had to guess, at some point next season. But let's see what else. What was the 40-man move to make room for Troy Taylor? They just sent Bizzardo back to Tacoma. Let's see what else.
Let's see.
I mean, Donovan on Instagram says, is Julio having a good season? We've talked about Julio a bit so far in this live stream. I mean, no, not for Julio standards, at least.
He's having a fine season.
Oh, like overall compared to all big leaguers, sure. He's on pace to be what, like a 2 WAR player, 2.5 WAR player,
which is fine.
Which is for most players that would be that is a positive season in terms of impacting a team, but that is not what a guy that gets paid $470 million for and is asked to be the face of a franchise and one of the faces of baseball. For his standards, that's not a good year for him. So I would say.
Let's get to this question on YouTube from Lions. He asks, how do you feel about Just Baseball ranking Colt Emerson as a top 10 prospect with potential number 1 prospect upside? I think his first name's Alex.
It is. He follows us on Twitter. Yeah. I also know he's a big fan of Just Baseball because I see him follow a bunch of their stuff. It's sick. And Keith Law put Colt Emerson at 5. Yeah. Just Baseball Aram had Emerson at 10. So in other words, the Colt Emerson hype is very, very real. I think people are now seeing in what was a very, very short amount of time how good this guy can be. Again, I think I said it last week. It's not fair to put these comps on him. It really isn't, because we have to see what he's going to do. But when you've got this much hype looking paired with how he profiles, where he was drafted out of high school, there does feel like there's some Corey Seager here in him. Now, will he be Corey Seager? Nobody can promise that. Prospects are never a sure thing. Does it feel like that's kind of where the ceiling's headed right now. Yeah, it does. He's probably going to move to third long term. He's power hitting, left-handed bat, playing shortstop for now, bigger guy. Maybe in time we'll play third. I mean, there's some Corey Seager in there. So yeah, like there is like the hype is real. And despite a couple of injuries for Colt this year, we've seen what can make him so special.
The only thing standing in his way is his health right now. For what we have seen, the control of the strike zone is there. The power's coming along a little slowly, but that hasn't stopped any evaluators. I mean, you can always project these things, even if he doesn't have it all mechanically worked out. So, like that's the really exciting part. Once he can play like 100 games straight and see what that does for him and what his numbers look like, that's truly exciting because that's not something he's done yet because he just hasn't been healthy enough. And there's a question in there if you or if you're going to go up there to Everett and try and get Colt, yes. The answer is yes. So what is it? First week of September? Try and go see him?
Yeah, so that's an option. I mean, obviously, I'd probably try to pick a time where the Aqua Sox are at home and the Mariners are also on the road. Maybe the first weekend of September. I mean, it would be cool if we could also get up there while Durangelo's there too, Senja, assuming he will get at least a couple starts in Everett before the end of the year. So if there's a way to line that all up, great. I mean, I could always go twice. That's obviously a thing. But yeah, I'd love to get up to Everett. I want to see Colt, want to see Laz. Hopefully Durangelo's there too. So first week of September is possible. They're also home this upcoming week against Tri-Cities. So that's another possible one. Yeah, like I would assume, like I would bet on myself going to Everett at least once before the end of the year. And if I go, we can let the people know if there are going to be people at Aquasmax games. Love to meet them. We did talk to, by the way, for those who don't know, we did do some content and with Colt Emerson during the spring and talked to him in spring training for a little bit, and he was really cool. But yeah, we'd love to go out and do some more stuff with him. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be cool. And let's hope Durangelo gets up there soon.
Yeah. And it'll always be fun to catch up with Laz, who seems to really like us, and also is just like one of the greatest human beings ever. He is just such a like bolt of energy to be around always.
Let's see. So this question's from Gmo. It's interesting. So first question is, do you guys watch Hard Knocks for the NFL? I actually just started the offseason one with the Giants because I heard good reviews of it, and I started it this weekend. So one episode into that. If there was an MLB version, I think this Mariners team would be a lot of fun on it. I think that would be really interesting. Would Major League Baseball teams let that fly? Like the NFL, it works so much better because these guys just make so much money. So much. The organizations make a just tremendous amount of cash year over year. And Major League Baseball teams cannot compete with that. So would it be worth it to them to open up all of their strategy and their strategy and everything behind the scenes? I personally think it would look really cool. I think it'd be fascinating to watch Jerry DiPoto put a trade together. Not like Moneyball. No, like a real one. I think that would be very interesting. But do you think it would work?
Yeah, if teams agreed to do it, I think it would work. I think it's a super cool idea. They're doing this Red Sox Netflix documentary this year. If they can do that, why couldn't they do something like Hard Knocks? That'd be awesome. Now, here's my question. I would love to see Jerry put together a trade. I'd love to see some, behind the scenes stuff in the clubhouse if they could get it. Who on the team is going to have the Antonio Brown feet? And fly in on a hot air balloon. That Raiders season of Hard Knocks was just the most insane, unhinged season of Hard Knocks I think we've ever watched.
We'll not say Julio's going to force himself to get traded or released, but it would be him, wouldn't it?
Well, maybe Julio would fly in on the hot air balloon, but who would accidentally have terrible, messed up feet from cryotherapy?
But again, dog, AB did that on purpose.
No, I actually don't think was on purpose. I think everything else.
I'm pretty sure he did that on purpose.
You think?
This dude is actually insane. I'm pretty sure he did it.
Yeah, we all know that, but I thought the actual messed up feet thing was somehow actually a mistake, but everything else was on purpose. All right. I don't think anybody would do it on purpose, but I don't know. I'm still trying to pick who
Well, it's
would
because
actually.
the Seattle Mariners don't have an Antonio Brown on their team.
No, they do not. And thank goodness for that.
And
But
that makes this exercise a little bit harder when we're trying to project out stuff like that. Or could you imagine a Mariner in a spring training refusing to play in a spring training game because he didn't like how his helmet felt? Could you imagine that?
oh my God. That was just the most unreal season.
Like imagine Randy being like, "Yeah, Scott, sorry, I'm not playing. Don't like my helmet."
Oh, that would make for some. TJ's AirPods fell out. Well, that would make for some good Hard Knocks. I'll say that. That would make for some very, very good Hard Knocks. Yeah, I think that would be really cool if baseball could do something like that. And I think it would be very popular too. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, maybe that's a good question to wrap up on. That was a fun final question.
Yeah, that was good. That's good.
Okay. Well,
well,
I'm glad people are in a better mood this week. I know we are. So this was a fun live stream. It was fun to be positive and talk about all the good things about the team. We should do this more often, aka the Mariners should win some more games.
What a concept. What a concept. I like that. Well, thank you guys so much. We're here every single Sunday night aiming for 7 o'clock Pacific here on our YouTube channel and our Instagram page. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, at Marine Layer Pod, Marine Layer Podcast on YouTube. Look for the teal logo, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a single upload from us. We appreciate all you guys, and we'll see you guys again next week.